We know cases where people have actually bought their freedom through the intimidation of the police. So those cases are there, and we have them. We've got the cell numbers, we've got the names of the police officers who are involved in this particular racket, and they all belong to one squad, the Kwekwe squad.
Kenara was the first person to advertise the names of the police officers in the Kwekwe squad. And this is when the government spokesman came out with all sorts of allegations that Oscar Foundation was funding Mungiki, Oscar Foundation was a wing of Mungiki, and they were going to deal decisively with him. The police spokesman says so. And that night, Kenara was murdered.
Kenya has a major problem of extrajudicial executions, and it's one which has not yet been adequately acknowledged and addressed.
Our police are the most, I believe they are the most underpaid. They are underpaid, and this contributes to corruption.
Some of the police accommodation was appalling. I mean, you'd find 50 families with one lavatory and that sort of thing. I mean, policemen living in their quarters.
So if the government wants to end corruption in the police force, let them pay the police officers.
Are you worried yourself about your own safety?
Yeah, you know, there comes a time then when you got to say that whatever happens, let it happen.
When an institution is corrupt, or the people who manage those institutions are corrupt or can be influenced, it means that we have lost the capacity for the rule of law. Small, hungry, poor people get to be punished, but the real people who commit crimes that undermine the rule of law and undermine democracy in this country get away with it.
There was the real damage that Goldenberg did to the economy, and it's something we took a very long time to recover from, and it literally just economically drove this country to its knees. In Goldenberg, we had almost the entire system of government working towards selfish objectives. Because of this continued failure of the law, of institutions, of the judiciary, of just about every other system, nobody had the confidence that you can stand up against this.
One day, the former president called me on the hotline and requested me to see him the following day at his Kabarak home at Nakuru at 7 a.m. I arranged Kenya shilling 3.5 million, which was in cash, my lord.
All of a sudden, during Goldenberg, the public started having fun with Kamlesh Patni, and I think he's a bit of a performer. So it almost became like this show.
Amen. Thank you, O Lord, our Father, for bringing these brothers and sisters from media.
It was really bizarre, even for the media, to observe the celebrity status that he developed. But it's very worrying, and it's part of this culture of that we've had for a while, where people appreciate seeing their leaders in big cars, and it excites them, and they chase them around. But that trend is changing, and following extreme suffering that people went through in the post-election phase, people are now getting angry when they see this kind of wealth.
Well, he turned up very unexpectedly. I got a warning phone call from Europe, where he was travelling at the time, and I sensed something was up, because he asked me not to tell anyone else that he was going to be staying with me, without really explaining it all, talking about a naval vessel, talking about how the men in control, his ministers, his colleagues, had come to him and said, "It's us, you know, we are Anglo leasing." Well, it's jaw-dropping, isn't it? I mean, you've got the finance minister begging the head of the anti-corruption unit to stop investigating. You've got the justice minister trying to blackmail him into keeping silent. You've got a minister for internal security that appears to be the spider at the heart of their every web. You've got briefings with the president where he basically tells John to hold off and stop investigating. I mean, the level at which this scandal went, the complicity and the frankness of those exchanges, it's just jaw-dropping.
Anglo leasing happened. By the time it was happening, we were dealing with a totally different scenario. At least by that time, there was a much more responsive citizenry, much more confident citizenry.
I can remember one thing I did, one about corruption, whereby the John Githong was standing on top of the stone written corruption, and then saying no stone will be left unturned, and he's actually standing on a big stone, and he's a very small man. Nothing has changed much, but also a lot has changed in the sense that there's more light, there's spotlight on the government.
Some major scams have been revealed. It's a shame that when it happens and the people know, so little then is done.
As we talk about reforms, I think reforms alone will not help us achieve much. We need reforms and transformation.
Let's get one thing clear.
So it's up to us from the ground to start working. Then if there's help from the top, if we have good leaders, then they can also come in and help.
We need leaders, alternative leadership that appeals not just to the tribe, but appeals to the ideals and the values that we must hold as a country.
I believe Kenya can be there if the good governance can be there and proper way of government, basically.
the freedom of speech has really been there. So we've used that to air our views in terms of the way we would want things run in this country.
Once we possibly reevaluate our philosophies, then we start looking at a different kind of country, and that is possibly what's going to take us ahead.
I think the opportunities are coming slowly because it's part of the struggle and what we are doing.
10 years to come, nataka Kenya ikuwe a better place to live, iwe ni kivutio cha watu wote, kila mtu ana feel enyewe nisipoenda Kenya sijatembea.
Kenyans, the day has now drawn to a close. For you, tomorrow is a big day. Many decisions and choices to be made. Referendums, elections, what is right and what is wrong, only you know. That which you must do. Act wisely, because you have to remember, you have only one Kenya that you and your children can call our own. Sleep well and sleep safe.
Tumetoka mbali, tunaenda mbali, ahead.